This episode of the Fire Sprinkler Podcast is brought to you by Hose Monster. Rock solid flow testing equipment designed for professionals. The little Hose Monster is made from injection molded glass-filled polypropylene and is made for abuse. Combined with a range of pedaless nozzles, the Hose Monster is an inspector's match made in heaven. Either testing fire hydrants or fire pumps, Hose Monster has the equipment you need to get the job done safely. Visit hosemonster.com for more information on how you can bring your flow testing to the next level.
Subscribe.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Fire Sprinkler Podcast. We're in Chicago, Lake Zurich.
Absolutely.
Is that a suburb of Chicago?
It is a suburb, a far northwest suburb.
We just finished up with my first experience with Chicago-style pizza, which a meal in of itself.
Filling, lots of calories.
It is. So we're gonna get the wheels back spinning here, get the mind going, and I mean my mind is mostly tomato sauce and cheese right now. But thanks for having me out.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for the invite. This has been awesome. There's going to be a ton of little snippets of your facility that are going to be on my social media page and stuff like that here shortly, if it's not already. But tell me a little bit about yourself and your involvement with Hose Monster before we get into the weeds.
Sure, absolutely. I've been here 12 years. Started out as the sales manager.
Okay.
And currently are the director of operations, so all things Hose Monster are under my guise. I am what is called a lifer.
Yeah.
I was born into the industry. Born into a family that was in fire protection, had fire protection experience. My joke is that you can look at my birth certificate and it has fire extinguisher on it. Yeah. So I'm truly born into the industry.
You cut my arm, you get black sprinkler water that comes out.
Right, and it smells too.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep talking. I'm just going to keep checking on something here.
So doing the whole contractor thing, and was an early user of the Hose Monster stuff, the legacy equipment, and used it extensively as a pump tester, and then sold the family business, did some consulting for 3 or 4 years, and then still have a passion for fire protection, all things, and went and happened to see that Hose Monster was looking for some sales help, and so having used it, I was a natural fit into the business, and been here ever since. And we've done a lot of great things since I've been here. We've done a lot of great things in the industry as a whole since our inception.
So you came in sales, and how did that migration go to director of, or what was it, director
of operations?
Yeah. How did that transition go? Was it I'm doing it anyways?
My background in running businesses is just that. So it was very easy and to embrace all things Hose Monster. I knew how to make the products. I was part of that. That's how we learned how to, what the product was about. And so it was an easy transition to, purchasing and HR and all of those things. So subject matter expert from the get-go, so that made it easy. So it was the business running piece to it that I flourished in.
Right. So now your day-to-day, what's your day-to-day kind of role here at Hose Monster? As far as you have your piece in many different pies being the director of operations, manufacturing.
We're setting production schedules, purchasing, administrative work. Just completed our update of the 2024 prices. More so also educating people. Yeah. Still picking up the phone, answering questions. From the sales standpoint, we manage our customer service team, we manage our business development teams, and then of course we travel. This being the show season starting up, both domestically and internationally. So we're out representing us all over the place.
Internationally, saw you in Dubai already this year. You're going to be coming to the CFSA event in Canada.
Going to see you up north, and we're heading over the pond, so to speak, to the Fire Sprinkler International Show in Dublin next month.
Hoping to get there.
Okay.
Hoping to get there. Yeah.
Excellent.
Are you going to Hawaii?
Yes, I will be I will be solely at the NFSA conference there.
Oh, shoot! Yes. Oh, yeah. You drew the short straw.
Somebody had to do it.
So. Yeah. Well, that's okay. It's a rough one. That'll be a rough one.
It'll be a tough one. Yeah. But hope to make a lot out of it. We've got a lot of customers in Hawaii, so I'd like to get out there and hopefully make some connections with them while I'm out there as well.
So with that trip, are you going to do multiple. Are you going to hit the other islands as well while you're out
Yeah,
there?
we're busy setting up appointments with them too. Yeah, we'll learn what puddle jumping is, right? Going from island to island. But yeah, hope to get out there and see our contingency out there.
Awesome. So, the history of Hose Monster itself, the product, the development, the invention, and stuff like that. Give me a little bit about the history about this product that's been around for 30 years.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, we just celebrated our 30th anniversary last year. The Hose Monster dates back to the mid-1990s. We have drawings and hand sketches from the mid-1980s, blueprints from the 90s. It was originally a diffuser. The very first Hose Monster was a diffuser, still utilizing the handheld pitot, play pipe. Of course, the thrust and the destructive nature of the water when you're doing a pump test or hydrant test had to be solved. That was a problem. So a contractor in Kansas City, Phil Barrett, came up with the idea by watching the jet planes come in and out of the airport one day, understanding that changing the baffles on the jets could slow down and stop planes as well. So that's how he took that original idea and put it into the very first Hose Monster, which again was just a flushing unit.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Huh. Absolutely.
Okay, so the original Hose Monster was a diffuser,
Yep.
which eventually migrated into the handheld pedal.
Correct.
Pitot being
Yes.
adapted for use.
Yes, yeah. The second problem that a pump tester had was the fact that the inability to get consistent readings. Right. Even today, with using handheld pitos, the fact that you put it in the hands of somebody else, they'll get a different reading.
Right.
And even you yourself will get a different reading as you move that pitot away from the correct spot and into a different spot. So
Right.
that was the other piece that we managed with the development of a permanently installed pitot, which gave us the ability to read consistently at the same spot every time, which then allowed us to go into first UL and then subsequently to FM to get our devices approved.
Right. Now, migrating into the pedalless technology.
Correct.
What was the driving force behind? You've got a successful, extremely successful pitot technology, which has been used for years in testing and not just in fire protection, but in all aspects.
Yep.
Why go pedalless?
Well, one of the problems that Fred, the owners, had was the fact he was very passionate about fire protection. Came from a long family of fire protection people. His grandfather holds a couple patents of some of the early sprinkler heads, which we've seen and things. He also was passionate about South America and had connections down there because of his fire protection background. But sales were not what he wanted them to be. Himself and his wife touted or towed 3 of these devices across South America, trying to sell them, right? Everybody loved them, they looked great, but they couldn't sell them. And they examined the fact that that legacy equipment of ours are just big, heavy pieces of metal that cost a lot of money to ship, even domestically. And so in working with some of the engineers that Fred knew, came to the point, well, conceptually, here's a nozzle that might be useful. He had kind of developed it and said, I don't know what to do with it. And so that evolved into the patented development of the pedalless technology. Okay. Where we have a constant area reducing nozzle that provides a laminar stream of water, which then allows us to very accurately read an internal nozzle pressure in that device at a gauge port. And so again, the consistency with the readings allowed us to take that and patent it first, and then of course get it FM approved.
From a consumer standpoint, which is a more accurate? Is the pitot technology accurate, or are they similar?
Well, in meeting all of the standards, both at UL and FM, they meet their requirements, right? Okay. Yeah. But that requirement, whether it's UL or FM, has to do with the test data that you supply.
Right.
And so it's really comes down to what do you as an organization feel is to be within the standard or acceptable means of accuracy. So our devices, the pedalless technology stuff, is plus or minus 2%.
Okay, minus 2%.
From witness flow rate.
Yep.
And we're very proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as far as the technology that you guys have, that you're speaking laminar flow and stuff like that, and there's a bunch of them behind us here. We can grab them if we want. but what specifically? I know your flow, your coefficient for documentation is above 1.0.
1.0.
How do you get that?
Okay. Well, that's through the process and the patent of the development of that nozzle.
Okay.
To where it actually improves water flow through the device because of the laminar flow of the water, the solid flow of water. Pitot readings, handheld pitos, any device that has a pitot in them, like our HM2H steel stuff, okay? It's reading an external jet pressure,
Yep.
which is a turbulent discharge because it's outside of the orifice, right? The pitot nozzle is reading an internal nozzle pressure, so in simple layman's terms, it actually improves the water flow through the flow device and allows us to garner those numbers.
Because I find it like not weird, but it was very interesting when me and Joe Meyer, what's up, we're discussing the coefficient of the hose monster, and when you look at the play pipes coefficient being like a 0.97, and theoretically you would think a 1 is perfect,
Right.
but
It's like
it's not.
common misperception.
Yeah.
Yes, that it's not. But please understand too that a coefficient has to do with an orifice of discharge.
Right.
Okay, and also then has to do with an external reading,
Okay.
the pitot reading.
Right.
Think of the pitot nozzles as the K factor, which is what we use for those, similar to the K factor in a sprinkler head, where it's the relationship between pressure and flow and orifice size.
Right. Okay. So
that's-
what's the K factor on the 1 3/4 pitot nozzle?
Good question. 1.27, I believe.
Oh, yeah?
On that, I want to
Okay.
say like that.
No, it's got to be way higher.
Don't hold me
than
to that.
It's got to be way higher than
Yeah,
that.
but I don't know what that is off the top of my head. But certainly, what we have done and have provided through the years is the fact that when we change the industry, as we have done step by step,
Yeah.
everyone gets used to doing something one way, right? And so everybody knows what a coefficient is,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And since the pitot technology doesn't use a coefficient, it uses a K factor in measurement, we converted all of those numbers backwards so that we could provide somebody, well, here's the coefficient of the nozzle, when in fact it's really the K factor, which is a more accurate way of interpreting flow. It's the way they hydraulically calculate sprinkler systems
That's
using
right.
K factors. So
Yep. Interesting. Now, the transition that you guys have had to go from a physical product, physically flowing water, either with the pitot or the pitot technology, and now adding the aspect of technology to it. Was that internally, was that a big change in the company?
Well, every company that's successful must have plans and goals.
Yeah.
And so one of the early on goals, as we whiteboarded things, was to come up with a universal.
Just for the record, I haven't seen a single whiteboard in this building, but you guys write on the walls a lot.
Yes. So every office has a writing wall on it, which has a special coating on it, which allows us
Okay, that's
to,
what it is.
to
All right, I
script
was
it.
wondering.
Yeah.
As I'm walking through and I'm getting the tour, and I'm like, you guys are just writing on all your walls.
Yeah, have to have special markers for that because
Yeah.
if you use like a Sharpie,
Oh yeah, that would be a problem. I give my kids trouble all the time for doing what you guys do here.
right. So thought processes, dealings. What's next? So the idea was to come up with a universal gauge, right? One of our products, the Big Boy Hose Monster, comes with a gauge, and it is a dual reading gauge, which then supplies both PSI and GPM figures for that device only, right?
Right.
People saw that early on, and people were calling in for a long time saying, hey, I need one of those for my steel hose monster, or can I use it for this?
Yeah.
Or the pitot nozzles. And it's not, because it's specifically calibrated for use with the Big Boy pitot nozzle. And so we kind of thought things through, and that's really what led to the development of what is the Smart Monster technologies. So our patented fire pump testing technology.
So what was why only the Big Boy?
Because that was the last flow device that was brought to the marketplace.
Right.
first was the legacy stuff, and then the 2.5-inch pedalless nozzles, and then we took that and brought the big boy out to that. So it was a marketing piece to make it more unique.
Yep.
To that. Again, taking away a little bit of work from the service guys because they didn't have to go to a flow chart. Mm-hmm. It's all on the gauge, right?
You just make it easier.
Yeah.
Make it easier for the end user.
Yeah. So the thought process of gauges is to come up with what can be used universally on them. And so really, again, with this technology, the device, again, can be placed on any one of our flow devices, set to know that it's on that flow device. And so what it will do is to automatically take those pressure readings, convert them to live GPM figures, and then, through our app and our soon-to-be software, be able to report all that stuff.
It's, we talked about that a lot with Patrick. If you're looking for like kind of in-depth about the Smart Monster, that's the episode to go to. But as far as the history is concerned, the owner of the company, his name was Fred
Grenning.
Fred Grenning.
Yep.
Former owner.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
How many patents does he have related to flow technology?
I believe we have 1, 2, 3. He's got 4 patents on a number of our devices.
Yep.
The original patent for the Hose Monster diffuser is held by Phil Barrett, one of the founders of the Hose Monster company. Mm-hmm. And of course, our most recent 2 patents are both our Monster meter, which is used with our inline units, and of course the Smart Monster line of equipment.
Right, you had those all up on the wall there.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks for coming on the podcast to talk about the history of the Hose Monster product.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me to Chicago. This has been unreal, and I'm really halfway through what I'm doing here.
Okay.
And this has been phenomenal. So thanks for everything, and
Appreciate
we'll
your
be
time.
seeing you.
Yeah.